Welcome to Your Health, where we explore the latest in health across the country. I'm Erica Cardenas. We're heading back to school with tips to help you cope with this new learning environment. But first, let's take a look at what's coming up on the show. We get advice on helping parents and students deal with stress, a dentist office your kids will actually enjoy visiting, and how to set up school space in your home for the kids. All that and more in this episode of Your Health. This uncertain school year is both different and at times difficult for both parents and students alike. Joining us now is Dr. Wendy Watson to give us some advice. Welcome, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Erica, for having me. I appreciate it.
First off, doctor, what are the top issues that you're seeing with this unpredictable school environment right now?
There's so much uncertainty right now. Every school district seems to be doing things differently. Parents often don't know exactly what's happening until the very last moment. Maybe they just find out less than a week ahead of time that their school is going back. So parents have had to almost prepare for multiple different scenarios. And also kids have had to prepare for multiple different scenarios. And that is one of the most difficult things right now, is having so much that's just out of our control. And one of the things that I think as parents we need to do is really focus on what we can control.
Right. So Dr. Watson, speaking of uncertainty, what are some things that parents can do to help their children cope?
First and foremost, as you are on an airplane, make sure you put on, when they tell you to grab the oxygen first, then put it on your child. We have to do the same thing as parents right now. It's so important for us to be able to check in with ourselves first, see where we're at, do all that we can to really keep our mental health in check. Because our kids just, they're like little sponges. They absorb anything that we're around. They really, when they see mom or dad or grandma stressed out, they're going to feel stressed out too. They're going to know it. Probably the second thing is finding out as much as you can from the school about what's the school year going to look like. So if you can kind of go through and say, this is what your day is going to look like. If the kid's never been to the school before, drive by the school, prepare them. This is what your school's going to look like. And don't do this first day. On the first day the school starts, you do this beforehand. Definitely some of the things that I've been working with parents in my clinic is get little kids used to masks. Again, you don't want to have them wear their mask the very first day of school for the first time ever. To feel like they have a little more control over what's going on.
So are there any signs that parents should be looking out for that may indicate that their child may need some help?
This is a wonderful question because, and it's one of the more difficult ones I feel like sometimes to answer during the pandemic, because there's certain key things that we look for in children. Changes in sleep. Are they sleeping way too much? Or they can't fall asleep because they're so worried. And changes in appetite. Things just like not being able to focus at all is really a big deal. Of course, any moods that, they're very upset or crying a lot. And these are things that I just want to point out for something in a pandemic many times are normal in a brief period. It's normal to cry when you miss your friends, especially, even as adults, it's normal to be upset. It's normal as a teenager when you're stuck with your family at home 24/7 for months at a time to want to be in your room talking with friends. You have to look at is it developmentally appropriate for kids? And also, is it short-term versus long-term? That's one of the biggest things. It's okay to be upset in the short term, but is this something that's lasting, weeks? That's when it's maybe time to go ahead and contact your pediatrician just to say, what are you seeing with kids right now? Is this normal? What should I do? And get some referrals from them if needed to just have them maybe talk to a counselor or therapist.
So, doctor, are there any last tips or advice you have for parents and kids to help keep them in the right frame of mind during all this?
The important thing is to be gentle on yourself, especially as a parent, and really having open communication with your kids right now so you know how they're feeling. Some kids won't be quite as open. You might have to share a little bit about how you're feeling so they can just see by example, oh, that's how we talk about emotions and feelings. So just trying to just prepare yourself for what you can do have some control over and just trying to let go of what you really don't have any control over.
Dr. Watson, thank you so much for this great advice. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Erica, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
If you'd like more information, just go ahead and head over to the website. Part of your back-to-school routine should be getting a dental checkup, and one dentist in California is creating a safe and fun environment for kids during this time.
We brush our teeth, we floss our teeth, and love to go to the super dentist.
The reason that people typically don't like their dentist is because they're associated with something painful, right? It's a needle or a drill or something. So the super dentist is the only dental practice on the planet where kids literally beg to go to the dentist. We have orthodontics, we see adults, but really the core practice that we have is to serve kids. We want to make sure that the kids have fun, so we create magical experiences through the way our offices are themed and designed. Our superheroes, villains, we have our own movies, we have our own custom music, our own products. So when they come to the office, they feel really comfortable.
So let the super dentist take care of it.
Some of the things parents can do at home to make sure that kids can maintain their oral health between visits is to build positive association to their oral care at home as well. That starts with how they brush their teeth. Those daily routines are so critical to maintain at home, especially during this pandemic. Because like everything else, kids being home, not going to school, their daily routines have been appended, right? And so we encourage parents to make sure that these important routines are kept and make sure the kids still value their oral hygiene and their brushing and flossing. Dentists and dental offices in general were experts when it comes to infection control. Even before COVID, we've had to deal with other viruses and other bacteria. And because of COVID, many dental offices across the country, we've added so much more technology and systems and processes to make sure this virus is also safe. So we feel really good about inviting everybody back to our offices now. Our new safety protocols really start with when you call our office. We make sure that we do a thorough screening on the phone to make sure that we only allow healthy people inside the office. We've virtualized our lobbies and waiting rooms. So now that's in the car or outside the office. So you can check in virtually now through our website. You can do all the paperwork digitally on your phone or tablet. And then we have a really, really cool virtual super lounge that's on our website that kids can be entertained through our movies and music and fun stuff. And parents can be educated about everything COVID and non-COVID with a lot of recent articles and interviews that we've done across the country.
We clean our teeth on top, in, back, and front.
American Dental Association did a survey, and the majority of people, 75 to 80% of people, feel very comfortable going back to their dentist right now. But there's still 15% of people or so that they're uncomfortable. Your dental care and oral care is super important during a health pandemic because it's about overall health. With those patients that are a little bit concerned about going back to a dentist, my message is dental offices are super safe, and this is something that you cannot wait until there's a vaccine. I really encourage everybody to go back to their dentist and take care of their oral health.
Here's a quick tip. If your child is going to school virtually, make sure to still pack their lunches. That way they have something to look forward to, and you can make sure they're still eating nutritious foods. Stick around, we have more to come on Your Health, a center that has a unique approach to help people struggling with addiction. And I show you ways to get your kids' homeschool space ready for learning. Scott felt lost while in college and turned to substances to help him cope. But with the help of Decision Point Center, he's found his passion and his sobriety.
I was in college struggling with anxiety and depression because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up. Started drinking more and then found drugs, and pretty much that just made the anxiety and depression, get worse, even though at the time I thought it was better, but it was what I was used to. And I would just go back and forth like, oh, I want to stop doing drugs. Oh, I don't want to stop doing drugs. I woke up one morning and my mom was like, hey, someone's downstairs, they want to talk to you. And I go downstairs and there wasn't like an actual interventionist, but it was a bunch of my friends, some of my close friends, their parents. They pretty much reassured me that I did need help, and I was at a place where I was just so miserable about where I was. I was like, I do need a change. They were like, we want to send you this place in Arizona. You get to go hiking, do a bunch of cool outdoor stuff. And I'm just like, sounds great. When do I leave? I didn't necessarily think I would stay sober, actually. I was sort of like, all right, I'll go to this rehab for 30 days, you know, just kind of throw a curveball in my life, mix it up. And then slowly I was able to come to terms with, hey, you know, being sober is actually a really good thing. I was actually very pleased because it wasn't like very institutional, hospital-y. It was almost like I was going to Colorado and staying at like a condo. Like, it was actually really nice. I even joked with one of my friends that him and I both got sent to a mandatory summer camp. Just like, you know, kids when they go to summer camp, you know, they make friends. You know, we kind of do the same thing at Decision Point. We're here, we might as well make the best of it. I felt I actually had a real big impression on a lot of the clients there because I showed them how much fun they could have, because, you know, they kind of came in like I did. They're like, oh, I'm in rehab. But I was able to show them the fun side. There's a lot more to life than just drugs and alcohol, you know, especially with the outdoor program Decision Point has. You know, it showed me how much fun it is just to be outside, taking in nature. I've always been a big wildlife nature person, even before Decision Point. And then once a month, you would go on a couple-day camping trip, whether that be just car camping where your car's right there, or like full-on backpacking out through the wilderness. Even now that I'm out, I thought rehab was great for me. Honestly, even if I didn't have a drug problem, I thought rehab would have been great because it taught me how to deal with stresses that you're gonna come across in your life. Now, almost 9 years after my sobriety date, I'm working as a large predator handler at a wildlife park. That's one thing that's really helping me stay sober, along with the tools Decision Point taught me, just because, you know, those animals mean the world to me, and it really is a dream job. Thanks to Decision Point, I have almost 9 years of sobriety.
Hi everyone, Erica Cardenas here. Well, school is back in session, and for many of us, that means, for right now at least, our children's learning environments look quite different. So what are some tips and ways to create positive and effective learning environments for your kids while they're learning from home? Here are a few tips and ideas that worked for us, and maybe they'll work for you as well. So we'll start off with Noah. Noah is our 8-year-old who just entered the 3rd grade, and in Noah's case, he didn't have enough space in his own room for his own desk. So creativity and flexibility were key in giving Noah his own space, and that meant he came to mom's desk for now. We used what we had. So for me, I really wanted to make Noah feel like it was his own space. So decorated the area with some of his drawings, some of his artwork. Also made sure to have his school supplies and tools readily available and accessible to him throughout the day. Another tip that worked really, really well for us, the dollar store. The dollar store literally became our best friend during this process. I think I spent about $20 in total getting everything ready for Noah for his desk. Of course, hydration is key for all of us, and so I make sure to always have a water bottle filled with water on Noah's desk as well, and snacks. You know, anything quick, easy, nutritious that Noah can grab and go from the refrigerator or the pantry himself is a win-win for both of us. So that's a little overview of what we did for Noah. Now let's go over to Allie, our freshman now in high school, and take a look at how we created Allie's workspace. Let's go. We're now here in our daughter Allie's room, and as I mentioned, she is a freshman in high school, and in Allie's case, she had enough room for her own desk. So we found a great single person desk and small chair for an economical price. Now, since Allie's older, she wanted the space to feel a little bit more like her. So another tip, get your kids involved in creating their own workspace. If they help create it, they're more likely to thrive during the school day. Now, another tip, no matter the age, sitting down for an extended period of time can get a little uncomfortable. So if you prop a pillow or a cushion on the chair, it not only helps with poor posture, but it also adds a little bit more comfortability for your student throughout the day. On a final note, this is all new for all of us, so give yourself grace and patience as you continue to navigate the online learning experience with your kids. Take one day at a time. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hopeful. And I'll see you next time. All this month, we're focusing on heading back to school. Check out yourview.com for additional tips and stories featuring parents, teachers, and students as YourView goes back to school in 2020. Here's what's coming up next on the show. What you should do before your child heads back to in-person schooling. And next, we'll talk to a veteran about the scars of war and how he found peace. Some wounds of war are visible, but for many soldiers, their scars are hidden. We share the story of how one soldier finally found his peaceful shelter.
I am confident. I am within a 90 percentile sure that I would not be here during these times to do this interview, even be around, if I didn't have BASH. So I am extremely thankful that I did find Shelter to Soldier.
Shelter to Soldier is a California 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is essentially saving lives 2 at a time. We're adopting dogs from local shelters and rescues all throughout Southern California. We're training those dogs for 12 to 18 months to become psychiatric service dogs, and then we're placing those dogs at no charge with deserving veterans in need.
Joined the military right out of high school, joined the Marine Corps, went through combat training, and my MOS was crash, fire, rescue. So if airplanes crash, vehicles, things like that, I put on a spacesuit and basically put out a fire, rescue people. I had the unique opportunity to deploy to Afghanistan. I felt like I left a part of me after I deployed, like I didn't feel the same. At that time, I didn't know what it was. I didn't want the stigma, I didn't want any of the broken merchandise, so to speak, label. Eventually, you have to get out of the Marine Corps sometime. And because I never addressed the things that I felt, the things I've seen, after getting out, I just felt like I didn't have any real options, I guess. Everything just felt so hazy, so murky, so it wasn't clear what I should be doing. During this time, I just felt so hopeless, helpless, lost. The more I tried things, I just felt more frustrated because I'm trying all these things and they're not working. So one day I just had enough of it and tried to commit suicide. Lo and behold, that didn't work either, and I became more frustrated. It was absolutely mind-rending to feel stuck. What skills do I have? What can I do? How can I leverage what I've done with where I want to go, feeling how I feel? So I went to private military contracting without the plan of coming back. The Taliban couldn't kill me and I couldn't kill myself, so what was going to be my outcome? What was I going to do? I felt like I was just slowly suffocating, and at that point it was okay with me. I didn't care. I just, at this point, just wanted to burn out and left foot in front of the right foot until the left foot didn't come after. So I went to a VA's group therapy for post-traumatic stress, and they were handing out a bunch of papers. I wasn't really paying attention. And I remember as I was leaving, one of the other attendees there, he was just like, "Hey, have you heard about Shelter to Soldier?" And he's like, "What is it?" Like, "Hey, just give him a look." Okay, yeah, fine, whatever. I had gone to work and I found in my backpack, the VA's paperwork. Just took a look at it. I was like, "Oh, let's see what this is." Shelter to Soldier. I could feel my anxiety really start to kick in as I clicked on the application to see if I would be a good fit for them.
We have heard so many times, I just need a little bit of lightness to keep pushing. And that little bit of light will keep me going. It's not just serving that veteran and that dog, but now it's also helping people hearing about it that have served that need this.
I got in contact with Vic, and he invited me down to actually go down to the site for Shelter to the Soldier. Everyone kind of felt like they understood. I didn't see that look of just judgment. It was empathetic. After a while, I was invited to come back and start doggy speed dating. When Bash came in the room, he just kind of like booped my hand with his snoot and then hopped up and then was just like, "Hey, I'm here." Like, "What's going on, man?" So after that, we started training. I really started to get a feel for what he liked, what he didn't like. And as the time went on, I kind of really learned his quirks, and I think he learned a few of mine along the way. It puts a smile on my face just thinking about the training sessions, because there was nothing better. You know, together we just put the left foot in front of the right foot, in his case, his paws, and we graduated officially the Wednesday after Veterans Day. After experiencing the brotherhood of the military, after experiencing losing best friends, the relationship I have with Bash is, it's almost like you're taking the best out of all of those categories, wrapping it up in a dog, and then having that dog stay with you through thick and thin. It's priceless. If there were other people out there that felt the way I did, I would tell anybody in that situation, even if you've got just that glimpse of light, you know, it could be dim. You're gonna want it, you're gonna wanna reach out to it. Just put out your hand, look for that light.
It's the light that sadly 20 plus veterans a day aren't seeing, and we want them to see. We want this light to shine as bright as it possibly can, so that in a similar sense of shouting from the rooftops, we're reaching as many people that are struggling as possible that could utilize our help or our services.
The light's there. It's hard to see it when everything's as black as it is, but sometimes you just gotta look just a little harder.
Don't go anywhere, we have more to come on your health, including what you should do at home before your kids head back to the classroom. Before we go, here are a few more things to consider as students are getting back to school. While at home, reinforce safety precautions like social distancing and hand washing, and get your child used to wearing a mask. This way, when they head back to the classroom, it will be second nature, and allow them to pick a mask they like, so they'll be excited to wear it. Health checks are still very important, so schedule a wellness exam with your pediatrician, and make sure your kids are up to date on their vaccinations. Most importantly, take cues from your kids and ask how they're doing. It's important your child feels comfortable expressing any concerns they may have and knowing you're there to listen. If you'd like more tips on heading back to school, visit the CDC's website. We wanted to let you know that you can now watch us on the go. Just download the Cox Contour app, sign in, and search for YourView. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay well. I'm Erica Cardenas, and see you next time.